The library module contains streamlined image processing capabilities via Quick Develop, found here in the right panel under the Quick Develop pane. Quick Develop is especially handy if you want to apply a simple white balance correction or relative exposure bump to a large group of selected images. Let me show you what I mean. So I'll make a selection here of all these similarly shot images, and I'll come over here to the Quick Develop pane, and I can choose from the saved presets. These are all the presets that are available in the Develop module. And you can see they're not broken up into folders, but they're all there. And let's just say I want to apply a soft sepia tone. This is a preset I made myself. And you can see that these thumbnails in the library module in the grid view, they're all changing to reflect the new setting. So I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 images selected, as it says right here. I could have had 100 images selected and applied that preset, and Lightroom would have gone through and applied that setting to all of them. This is really where Lightroom's workflow capabilities really shine. So I'm going to go ahead and just use my Command or Control Z, and that will undo the settings. Beside the presets, if I click over here on the right, you can see the crop ratio and treatment show up. So I can apply a crop ratio. It shows here in the pop-up menu. I can't use the crop tool per se to do a custom crop, but I can apply a crop ratio if I want them all to be a certain ratio, let's say for printing. And also for treatment, I can choose whether I want them to be color or black and white. If I select black and white, you see what happens immediately there. I'm going to revert back, Command Z, Control Z. And then white balance, if I click on this little arrow on the right, I have the presets that show up under white balance, and I also have the same controls that I have in the Develop module. Instead of a slider, though, I have these little buttons. And just so you know, the first button to make warmer is going to be a more slight adjustment, and this will be a more gross adjustment. And same with the tint. So I'm going to collapse these so I have more room. And then down here, the tone controls, auto. This is the same auto exposure controls that I have over in the Develop module. And you can see how that works. All my thumbnails are reflecting the new settings. Command Z will bring it back. And let's see, I'm going to click on this little arrow. And now you can see there's all the controls are revealed. These are controls that are all available in the Develop module in the right panel. So exposure, recovery, fill light blacks, brightness, contrast, clarity, vibrance. If I hold down the Option or Alt key, the clarity and vibrance will turn into sharpening and saturation. So I really have all the same power that I have in the Develop module. I have that over here in the Quick Develop. The difference is really evident here that I can do this to a batch of images rather than one by one. And selecting Reset All does just that. It resets everything back to its original setting. So I want to point out one thing that is very, very important to understand. I think most of these controls you see under the Quick Develop, if you're familiar with the Develop settings and controls, they're going to seem pretty straightforward to you. One thing is a conceptual thing that I'm going to explain to you that it really is, it's important to grasp. When I choose an exposure increase, let's say I decide to increase by 1 stop all the selected images there. What's happening, everything is done in a relative manner. So let's just say the exposure right here was 1 stop under, and this is a half a stop under, and this is a full stop over. If I were to apply a exposure control to those images in the Develop module, it would be an absolute value. In other words, Lightroom would choose a value or determine a value based on my choice, and then apply that value to all the images. When you use the Quick Develop and you select an exposure change, it's a relative change. So between, this is let's say a half stop off, and I boosted it 1 stop, it'll go to 1.5. If this was right on the money, then it would boost it 1 stop over. If this was starting at 1.5 stops over, it would go to 2.5. So it's a relative bump based on the starting point of each image. And it's a useful control as opposed to taking something from the develop module, either a preset or a copy and paste method, and it's just pasting an absolute exposure value into it. So in the library module, Quick Develop is really about using your settings and your control on multiple images. The develop module is where you work on individual images one at a time. I want to show you one last thing here in the library module, and that's sync settings down at the bottom of the right panel. If I select that, this is a way of determining specific settings that I want to apply to all the images. So I can bring all the settings over, or I can check none and then just bring the settings that I check here. In other words, it gives you more control of what settings are going to apply based on your original settings and your original selected image to multiple images.